About 5 years ago, Hyundai took a serious risk by launching their Genesis luxury division here in America. Now at the time, Genesis was the youngest luxury brand in the US, and the company has really been killing it in all of these segments it competes in within the internal combustion space. However, as the industry continues to move to full-on electrification, Genesis is finally ready to play in the luxury EV space with this model. This is the brand new 2023 Genesis GV60. It's built off of the same E-GMP platform that we've seen on the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6, and with its own unique styling, even more luxury on the interior and additional power underneath the hood, this should be a really nice entry if you guys are looking for a luxury performance electric SUV. So as you can see, this week we are testing this beautiful white Genesis GV60 Performance, and the big question I want answered, is the all-new GV60 enough to put Genesis on the map for luxury EVs? Stay tuned to find out. Hey guys, I want to interrupt this review to give a brief shout out to the sponsor of this video, Keeps. Now what exactly is Keeps? Well, they're an online subscription service that provides doctor-recommended hair loss treatment plans. Because they are online, they offer 24/7 support and proven results. I should know because I've been using Keeps for well over 2 years, and let me tell you, it is one of the best products out there that allows you to keep the hair that you still have left on your head. The best thing about it for me is the fact that it's so easy to fit into your daily routine. Every morning I take this one small pill just once in the morning, and then twice a day, once in the morning, once at night, I use this mousse in my hair, and like I said earlier, it's just super easy to fit into my daily life. So what are you waiting for, guys? Hair loss stops now with Keeps, and in order to save up to 50% off of your first order, be sure to go to www.keeps.com/redline, or you can simply just click in the link in the description below. And now, let's get back to the video. So about a year ago when Genesis first showed off the design language for the new GV60, I'll admit, I wasn't sure if I liked the design, especially in that color that Genesis showed us called Sao Paulo Lime. It was a really hideous shade of highlighter yellow. It just didn't accentuate the lines very well. However, this week, as you can see, Genesis has loaned me the GV60 Performance in this beautiful pearly white color. And I have to say, the white color definitely makes this car look a lot more elegant. It still has some certainly interesting lines to it, but you have to admit, it will stand out and turn a lot of heads, because if you think of it as sister cars, the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, those cars also have a unique look, and the GV60 is going to follow suit. Now, first of all, you're going to notice the front fascia. It's got the signature dual line headlights with kind of like the quad beam. However, you can see the GV60 has, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individual LEDs, so there are 10 total. This is the LED low and high beam. You can see it also has LED turn signals. No fog lights, but you can see the Genesis grille in this vehicle is down here at the lower area. This is their crest grille. It's their signature design language. However, here in the center where they typically have the grille, it's not there because this is an EV. It doesn't require the additional cooling. You can see the wing Genesis logo. Looks really nice. It's a very attractive, elegant, fancy looking car, especially in the pearly white paint. You can see the Performance also gives you a slightly more aggressive front splitter with the kind of silver painted accents. Overall, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of the design. Remember, this is built off of the E-GMP platform. It's a scalable architecture. So you're going to see a lot more other EVs coming in the Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis portfolio that's built off of this chassis. Now, in terms of the rest of the side profile, you're going to notice one thing. It's supposed to be a crossover, but it looks more like a hatchback. Its ground clearance is just over 6 inches, so it's really not that much. It really doesn't sit that high in terms of a crossover. And in terms of the overall length, this car is actually the shortest among its Korean twins or siblings. This car at 177 inches long is about 7 inches shorter than the Kia EV6 and about 5 inches shorter than the Hyundai Ioniq 5. It shares the same 114-inch long wheelbase as the EV6. So I was surprised because I was expecting Genesis to make their version the bigger option, but it's actually the smallest. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section below. You can see over here along the fenders, there's a nice silver painted area here for the fender wells to give it more of that crossover look. And then how could one not notice these wheels? They're massive 21-inch wheels wrapped in 255 45 all-season tires, Michelin all-season tires. If you guys go for the advanced trim, it'll actually downgrade you down to a 20-inch wheel, which is still a pretty good size. I love the kind of silvery, chromy finish that you get on this particular wheel. I would like to see the brake calipers, however, painted red to show that this is the performance version. This car comes with a four-wheel independent suspension with adaptive suspension, so it's going to, again, give you that better ride quality and handling. It also has a road preview function where it uses the cameras and scans the road, and it will kind of prepare the suspension if you guys are approaching a pothole and whatnot. And you can see the mirrors here, they're painted, they have their integrated turn signal mirrors. You have 4 cameras around the vehicle. You can see also there's the integrated roof rails. The glass roof is going to be standard on all trims on the GV60. And you can see here the door handles, just like its siblings, they pop in and out based on whether the vehicle is locked or unlocked. However, this vehicle has one feature that I've never seen before, and that's facial recognition. Kind of like the way it works on your smartphone. I have it set up. I don't have the key on me right now. And basically, there's a camera right here that is scanning the area. As soon as I touch my finger right here to that portion, the camera is going to look at my face, and it turned green, and that unlocks the door for me. Once I get in, there's a little fingerprint reader over there, which I'll show you later on, that'll allow me to start the car without my phone or without the key. So again, really cool feature. If I want to unlock the door, just touch that again. The camera will start scanning to make sure it's me, and then it locks the door. So really cool feature, game changer. I've never seen that before on any other vehicle in the industry. Looking over here at the back, you can see traditional sloping roofline that we've seen on so many other luxury SUVs with a coupified shape. There's this interesting kind of triangle here that gives it a really interesting character line. I also like how it's kind of chromed out. It looks cool. It definitely helps this vehicle stand out. And then looking at the rest of the rear, you can see more of that sloping roof. There's this spoiler that's kind of standard here. And there's actually a little window here where you can see out of, which is, again, a really interesting design philosophy. You have the same kind of dual line taillights where it's a full LED. You can see it's not a sequential turn signal, but I like how the taillights are very distinctive. It also has Genesis spelled out very proudly back here. And a lot of people, again, may look at this car and think, what the heck is it? Because you don't really see anything like this out on the road. And you can see over here, the rear diffuser. It looks kind of aggressive. The LED reverse lights are down here, and then you can see you have nicely well-integrated parking sensors. So again, it's all a very clean design, and I also like how Genesis didn't try to make it look like there was any kind of fake exhaust tips. So I want to show you guys the rear cargo area, but I forgot the vehicle was locked, so let me go ahead and unlock it for you so I can open up the trunk lid. Now, because this vehicle is the smallest of its siblings, it does mean it has slightly reduced cargo space back here. However, it is still pretty usable. You get around 25 cubic feet of space with the second row seats up. If you fold them down, which there's no release latches over here, it expands it to around 54 cubic feet of space. That's around 2 to 3 cubic feet less versus the Ioniq 5 and the EV6. You can see the space is pretty usable, but because of that sloping roofline, you're not going to be able to put 2 tall items back here, but it's still perfectly usable. What it is nice, however, is how nicely finished the space is. You can see there's a nice aluminum kick plate here, really nice carpeting. And then if you look underneath here, underneath the floor here, you can see a decent amount of storage underneath here, although it's not quite as deep as I would like. And then you can see here, there's actually a separate partition here where you can flip that open to the side. That's for the mobile charger. So it's a really nice way to kind of keep all of your stuff organized and hidden underneath the floor. Now, once you get inside the interior of the new GV60, first of all, what you're going to notice is the interior materials in here are definitely top-notch, not top-notch. Now, I used my face to get into this car earlier. Now I'm going to use my fingerprint to basically turn the car on. Just have to rest my finger on this little pad right here, and it says authenticated. The vehicle can now be started. So I don't even have to have the key fob on me or my phone or any of the phone as a key or key card to actually get into the car. Now, if you do want to have the key, this is the key fob for the vehicle. You can see it's super cool looking. I believe it's color matched to the outside of the car, maybe, although I haven't seen any other color versus white. You can see it's got this buttons on the side here to lock and unlock the vehicle and open up the tailgate. On this side here, it has that smart park feature and remote start, so you can basically allow the vehicle to move forward and back with the push of a button. It only allows you to move it forward like maybe a couple of feet, and it won't actually turn the vehicle. But again, all really cool tech features that we've seen from the Hyundai and Kia portfolio. Now, getting inside and looking at the rest of this interior, first of all, the seats in this car are very comfortable. This actually has real premium Nappa leather. It's what you get on the performance version of this car. You can see it's got kind of contrasting stitching over here with this kind of yellow outline. These are actually blue seats. The blue seats are definitely a cool option. I love how Genesis is offering different color configurations. The seats are heated and ventilated, which is really nice, and they adjust in 16 different ways on the driver's side. You also have 2-person memory, and you also have a massaging driver's seat. Now, the massaging function, it basically works okay. You push a little button on the seat here, you can see it offers 3 different motions. It offers pelvic stretch, lumbar stretch, and then whole body stretch. It's only on the driver's side, and this is the same kind of massage seat we've seen on other Genesis products, but again, it's very rare to find massaging seats in this segment. Now, in terms of the rest of the materials, you can see door panel has nice real leather stitching here on the upper portion, real metal trim for the window controls, for the Door handle over here, nice and padded area over here. You have more of that suede Alcantara here. Even down here on the lower portion, it is a soft touch injection molded plastic. That's a really nice upscale touch that really gives this car a premium feel along with the rest of the look. In fact, the entire design of this interior kind of makes me feel like it takes some inspiration from Mini, almost like a Mini Cooper, with the way that the controls look with some of the contrasting stitching. I also really love the suede Alcantara that you'll find on the headliner, along the A-pillar, and this model here has a 17-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, and it sounds way better versus the Infinity sound system or the Harman Kardon sound system you find in the Hyundai and the Kia twins. Now, in terms of the dashboard, you can see more of that soft touch real leather. It's nice and padded. It's also kind of continuing over the entire dash here. And then over here, there's some nice kind of texturized aluminum trim with the way the vents look. There's a screen here for the dual zone climate control. And then of course, how could we not talk about this? This is the curved 12.3 inch dual 12.3 inch display. You can see the display here and the display here. Unlike the Cadillac Lyriq, which offered one continuous 33-inch piece, this is two separate screens, but it certainly still looks great. You can see there's what the CarPlay looks like. It takes up the entire screen, really great icons, very quick and very snappy. There is a caveat, however, the CarPlay is not wireless. I have to plug it in via USB-C cable into my phone, which Genesis and Hyundai and Kia still isn't doing wireless CarPlay on their biggest screens. So I'm hoping that's something they'll add. They tell me they're working on it. You can see there's the embedded GPS, which it works pretty well. You can see this is slightly different versus what I've seen in some Hyundai and Kia map displays. So this, again, has been upgraded versus what you find in other products. And you can see here, these are all your different widgets. You can even adjust the seats and the settings from over here. There's like a quiet mode. And then if you'd like, when you put the vehicle into reverse here, you can see there is a full 360 camera, which has really excellent resolution. You can also click this button here and you can do a full 360 perimeter scan. And Genesis allows you to change the color of the car. So if you want, you can actually go into the settings here, which is somewhere deep in the menus, but you can basically change the color based on what your car actually is. So that's definitely a nice little detail. I love how Genesis is kind of sweating the details. It really makes this car a lot more interesting. Now, one thing I forgot to show you guys, which is gonna require to turn this off, look at this, the crystal shifter. I can't believe I forgot to mention this. This is what it looks like when it's first on. It actually glows up at night from the LED lighting. Turn the vehicle on, you can see it rotates to reveal the transmission selector. And it also still glows. Really cool gimmick, but I have to admit, I like it. It kind of goes with the theme of this interior. It makes it feel extra special. Now, looking at the rest of the steering wheel here, you can see it's got a 2-spoke wheel. It's got power tilt and telescoping. So again, really nice luxury touch. You're not gonna find that in other mainstream cars. And then the horn sounds pretty good. It's very appropriate. It doesn't sound puny like I've seen in some other EVs. There's also a heads-up display, which I believe is standard on all the trims. And some of the switchgear you can see in here feels really expensive, high quality. There are paddle shifters over here that basically allows you to control the level of regen, which is really nice. It also has voice commands, which I actually hit the voice button over there. And then this screen here is slightly customizable. If I start pushing the drive mode selector here, you can see it kind of changes the way this little display looks over here. You can also customize it a little bit more on the screen, but we'll talk about the different drive modes later on during the test drive. There's also a boost button here. The boost button allows you to get 10 seconds of overboost, where this will make an extra like 50 horsepower. And this car also has a drift mode, which you can access by turning off the stability control and pulling the paddles twice and doing this little sequence. Obviously, we're not gonna try that right now, but it's kind of cool that Genesis gives you that really interesting feature. Over here, you can see this has touch-sensitive controls for the climate control, which is definitely nice. The heated and ventilated seat option is actually a hard button here. So I like how Genesis gives you an option between either using a touchscreen or using these hard buttons. There's a heated steering wheel you can see here. You can use this little knob to control the infotainment system as well, which is really nice. The center console here houses the wireless phone charger, which is standard as well. More of that aluminum trim. Nice center console area here that reveals kind of a shallow storage area, but you know, at least it's all nicely well done. The interior lighting in here at night also looks pretty good. And then above me, you can see there's some LED lighting in the cabin here, of map lighting. And then you can see there's also a big glass roof, which the glass roof does not open, but if you guys prefer not to be baked by the sun on this warm day, you can also close the sunshade, which some competitors don't even offer. In terms of the glove compartment, if you look over here, it's actually a bin that slides out. That's really cool, and it offers a pretty good amount of storage as well. I rarely see a glove box that's a bin, so I like that Genesis is again being different. But overall, the interior, it feels roomy. There's a nice flat pass-through area here, although this doesn't slide forward like in the Ioniq 5, and it does give you a nice view of the road. I wouldn't say it feels like you're sitting in an SUV, but it definitely sits up a little bit higher than most sedans. Moving to the back seat of the GV60, because this has that long 114-inch long wheelbase, you do have a decent amount of legroom back here. Genesis says you get around 37 inches back here, which 37 is actually about a couple inches less versus what you get in the Hyundai Ioniq 5, which again has that slightly longer wheelbase even further. But you can see 5'7". The seat itself, surprisingly, you can see my knees are a little bit up there. The floor is nice and flat completely. There isn't as much foot space as I'd like underneath the front seat. But at least because of the flat floor, it's an electric vehicle platform, you can fit 3 people across. Materials back here you can see are really nice. You have soft touch everywhere and more aluminum trim. You do have 3-level heated back seats with rear seat air vents on the side over here. You also, as you can see, also have these manual sunshades. I call them peasant blockers. You're not going to find that in the Hyundai and Kia twins. And then you also have 2 USB-C charging ports. There is a really big storage area here, actually. That's really nice. Wasn't expecting to find that. And then underneath here, you can see there's a household power outlet, which is right over there. That allows you to plug in other things. You can charge other stuff. So it's all really nice features. Fold this down, you can see there's an armrest with 2 cup holders. And then the seats themselves, they offer the ability to give you a slight recline. So you can kind of recline it. That's the most you can recline it. I have a decent amount of headroom, but I suspect those of you who are over 6 feet might be kind of maybe brushing your head. When I lean back against the headrest, my hair is actually touching the ceiling. So the back seat definitely is a little bit tight. If you want a bigger back seat, you may want to check out some of the competitors, which are just bigger vehicles overall. Now, with many other EVs, the million-dollar question is, does the GV60 have a frunk? And the answer is yes, albeit a very small one. Lift this up, you can see Genesis says the space is like 0.85 cubic feet. So obviously it's very, very small. It's practically identical to the EV6 and the Hyundai Ioniq 5, but at least Genesis gives you a frunk, so at least it is somewhat of a usable space for like the mobile charger and whatnot. But since we're underneath here, let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain specs. Genesis will launch this car in 2 different models, the Advance and the Performance. This one here is the Performance trim. All of them are dual motor all-wheel drive. They all use a 77.4 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack. This runs on the 800-volt architecture, which means it has really quick charging. And because this is the Performance trim, it gives you 426 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. Now, Genesis has a special boost button here on the steering wheel. If you push that button for 10 seconds, it'll increase the output to 483 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. That is a healthy jump versus the 314 horsepower that you get in the Advanced version, which is essentially the same powertrain that you find in the dual motor long range EV6 and Hyundai Ioniq 5. It all goes out through a 1-speed reduction gear transmission. Remember, this is an electric vehicle. It's got standard all-wheel drive because of the front electric motor in the front and the one in the rear. Genesis says 0 to 60 should be about 4 seconds for this model. We'll test it out when we get it when we get our testing equipment strapped onto it. And if you guys plan to actually tow, this vehicle will actually tow a maximum of 2,000 pounds. It'll hit a top speed of around 150 miles an hour. And if you're wondering how much this vehicle weighs, it's an electric vehicle. The floor is lined with battery packs. This one here is around 4,900 pounds. So it's about 200 to 300 pounds heavier versus the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6. But when it comes time to charge this vehicle, Genesis has the charge port back here on the passenger side toward the rear. Now, just like its siblings, there's a little door here that is motorized. So if you just touch that door, okay, now it opens. You have to actually push the lower part of it. But now that we've got this charge port open, let's go ahead and talk about the charging capabilities of this car. Because it's built off of the 800-volt architecture, this will accept a maximum of 350 kilowatts. And this particular model here will go about 235 miles on a full charge. That is a little bit less versus its siblings. And if you guys go for the Advanced trim, it'll actually increase that to 249. I suspect that number is going to be conservative. We'll be doing my own range testing later on when we get this vehicle out on the road. In terms of charging, you can basically go, if you can find that 350 kilowatt charger, from 10 to 80% in as little as 18 minutes. That makes it among the quickest charging EVs in the segment, right on par, of course, with the Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6. If you guys plan to level 2 charge this vehicle at home, it's got an 11 kilowatt onboard charger, which means you can basically replenish the battery from empty to full in between 8 to 10 hours, depending on the amperage that your home is set up to allow the system to actually pull from the wall outlet. In terms of battery capacity, this shares the same 77.4 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery pack. There's only one battery size, so the range is going to depend on whether you go for the Advance or the Performance trim. Because it's built on the E-GMP platform, it also has that vehicle to load feature. So if you have that contraption where you can plug it in here, it allows you to essentially use a 110 outlet where you can charge another electric car, you can run a campsite, you can power a mini fridge. So that's all really cool stuff. And it makes the GV60 among the quickest charging vehicles out there, which is good because the range is a little bit less versus some competitors. So finally, we are behind the wheel of the brand new 2023 Genesis GV60. Sadly, my invitation to drive this vehicle during the media drive in California got lost in the mail, but I am very happy to be spending a full week with this vehicle. Love the Ioniq 5 and the EV6. So obviously, as the flagship version of the trio, I expect more from Genesis. And this performance version that I'm driving has the same, more powerful rear electric motor out of the back that they shoved into the front, which is why we have up to 426 horsepower. Now, this car is starting out with a full charge. It was showing about 238 miles of range in sport with the air conditioning on. At max, it showed about 264 when I had it in eco and I shut off the AC, which is pretty decent range. It's better than the APA numbers. But what I want to first do is test out the 0 to 60. Genesis says 4 seconds. I'm going to put it into sport, put it into boost mode here, and go ahead and floor it. Oh, it's funny how it's spitting out the front tires. Wow, 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. That's pretty impressive. Genesis says about 4 seconds, so it feels properly quick. I mean, although I will say that I tested out an Ioniq 5 along that same stretch, and I believe that did it in like 4.4. Oh God, that's quick. So I was expecting this to be a little bit faster considering the 483 horsepower that this powertrain puts out when it's in boost mode. Like 429 is when you're in regular, but that was again in boost mode. I'm going to try it again right here. This stretch of road is slightly more uphill, but still 3.9 is nothing to sneeze at. That is an impressively quick time, and it's just so easy to do. There is no launch control in this car. You essentially just put it into sport boost and just floor the accelerator. Boost ready. Really could use stickier tires in the front. Oh geez, 3.88 seconds there, so better. I believe it's because of the tires slipping over there. That's probably one of the reasons why it was having a little bit of trouble putting the power down, but still 3.8 is appropriately quick. In fact, compared to a Mustang Mach-E GT Performance, which my partner and I happen to have, the best I got in the Mustang was around 3.7 seconds. So this car is almost as fast, although I do notice it's not quite as potent as, you know, that vehicle, but still, I mean, this car has the additional power that I was looking for something that wears the Genesis badge. I mean, anytime you just go near the throttle, it's hilarious how instantaneous it is, how quick it is. And I also like the EV sound. This one here, I have it in the E-GMP mode. What I wish that Hyundai or Genesis would allow you to do is change the sound of the vehicle a little bit quicker instead of having to go here to setup, go to vehicle, and then go here to active sound design. This is the E-motor sound. There's also a futuristic, which it's much more loud. It says it provides a futuristic driving sound. There's also a G motor, which is almost supposed to sound like an engine, a regular engine. It's certainly a very, very interesting sound, but I think my favorite is probably the E-motor. So unlike the Ioniq 5, which you cannot customize the engine noise, this is more like the EV6 that allows you to do that. The other cool thing about the Genesis is when you turn off the traction control, this car will literally let you roast the front tires. I have never been able to experience that in an EV because most of them literally limit the power on you every time you're trying to go near the throttle. And I love that Genesis lets you do that. I think it's freaking hilarious. You know what? I'm going to try a 0 to 60 here without the sport boost, just because I want to see what it's capable of in just regular sport. I'm still in sport right now, so we'll just floor it. Way slower off the line. Oh my God, you definitely want the boost on. 4 seconds. That's actually not that much slower. That's only 0.2 seconds slower without the sport boost. So 3.8, I'll take that as the best that I can get for this car. Very impressive performance. But overall, most of you aren't going to be, you know, lacking for power or wanting for power. If Genesis does decide to do an even faster version of this car, I can't even imagine how quick it is. Because remember, Kia is doing an EV6 GT, which is supposedly going to have an extra 100 horsepower over this model that I'm driving when it's in boost mode, which is insane. I wonder if Genesis is going to eventually put that powertrain into this vehicle at some point. It's just always spinning the tires all the time. That's hilarious. I also really like the Regen Braking in this car. Just like in its corporate twins, you can control it via this paddle right here. This is when It's iPedal Max. It offers true one-pedal driving and tons of regen. You barely have to touch the brakes. You can also pull this paddle here. You can turn the regen off entirely, or you can also dial it up by pulling the left paddle. It's a really, really nice, most of you will probably end up liking level 3 or the iPedal mode. The iPedal again gives you the max regen, and this car, you know, is much smoother than some of the other EVs that I've tested that have the one pedal drive. The other thing that I love about this vehicle is the ride quality. Genesis really nailed the ride quality of this car. It is among the smoothest and quietest electric vehicles that I've driven. And I also just drove the Cadillac Lyriq. The Lyriq is pretty much on par with this car, but it's a much bigger vehicle. You can credit, you know, the long wheelbase. You can tell that Genesis put extra sound deadening. I love the additional leather that's in this car, the real leather, the real metal trim. It's just so eerily quiet in this car, and that's, you know, made even more apparent when you turn off all these futuristic noises and whatnot. In terms of the visibility, this car gives you the view of a hatchback. I don't really feel like I'm sitting up high like I am in, like, you know, a Mach-E or a Tesla Model Y. Or even the Cadillac Lyriq feels more like an SUV. This feels like I'm kind of sitting in a hatchback that's a little bit taller. The view out of the back has that split window, which I don't love the view out of the back, but you can still see out of it pretty well. You just have to get used to that kind of partition in between, which some of you may or may not like. It's, you know, something that I think most people are gonna end up getting used to, so it's not too bad. Let's just try it one more time here. We'll put it in boost. The lag's definitely gone when it's in boost. 3.98 seconds there. I could never get tired of doing that. That's just so hilarious. But yeah, I have no complaints with the performance of this car. Genesis says that if you guys go for the base advanced trim, you can expect to do it in about 3 or 5 seconds pretty much, which it has the same power figures as the dual motor Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6. But remember, this vehicle weighs around 200 pounds heavier than its corporate twins because of the additional sound deadening, the additional luxury materials. But I'm sitting here getting a massage, which the massage in this car is kind of more rudimentary, but it works nicely. The quietness is definitely quieter than most of the other mainstream EVs. You definitely get a sense that you're driving a luxury EV. And in terms of my real world range, I've been averaging around 240 miles in my, you know, over a week worth of testing in this car, which is pretty impressive. Obviously not as good as some other EVs that have bigger battery packs, but this is among one of the more efficient EVs. I also like the steering of this car. It's a nice heavy feel to it. It's not the sportiest. You can see, well, even in sport, the body tends to lean around a lot, but the trade-off is that excellent ride quality, which I suspect most people are going to prefer, especially when you buy a vehicle like this, is the better ride quality. The seats are also very comfortable. I love the blue interior and the really soft premium Napa leather in this car. It just makes for a really excellent driving position. The steering wheel in this car is power tilt and telescoping. The wheel itself feels extra thick, the rim, which is definitely nice. It gives you just something nice to hold on to. Every time you put your foot down, never ever get tired of that. The driver assistance in this car also, it has their highway driving assist, where it'll keep in the lanes. It'll do automatic lane changes for you. It'll, you know, follow the traffic to a full stop, which again is among the best in the industry as well. So I'm finding very few faults with the GV60. I mean, obviously the looks on the exterior are something that can be, or that may offend some people. But other than that, you know, I think it's a really futuristic car. It's got the luxury that I expect from the Genesis brand. It's got the performance that I expect from a luxury brand. Range could be better, but I definitely like this versus any of the Volvo Recharge products or vehicles. But really, even for the price, this one here at just under 70 grand is about 11 grand more than its siblings, and I do believe it could be worth that extra coin, especially if you guys appreciate the extra luxuries and performance. So when I first had a chance to drive this E-GMP platform in the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6, I proclaimed it to be one of the best electric vehicle platforms that money can buy. However, after spending some time with the luxury version of that car, the Genesis GV60, I have to say, Genesis has taken everything that I like about the Kia and the Hyundai and taken it up a notch, which I expect from them as a luxury brand. The interior is really the showstopper. It has one of the most comfortable seats, some premium materials, amazing tech in it, although the lack of wireless CarPlay is just inexcusable, and I hope the Genesis adds that that very quickly in the future. In terms of the performance, this model here, 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, is very quick. It's practically on par with something like a Mach-E GT Performance or a Tesla Model Y, which is slightly quicker, albeit not by much. Its range at 235 quoted miles is pretty good, although in my real-world testing, I was getting between 250 to 270 miles, depending on the driving conditions. And if you drive this car in Eco Pro with the climate control off, it'll obviously do better gas miles. This model here also does have a heat pump, so that's going to help for those of you who live in colder climates. As you can see, it's the middle of summer now, so it is getting the most range that it can get. And in terms of the size, the trunk space is a little bit small, but the backseat is very roomy. It charges extremely quick, and the styling of this car, it's obviously going to be a subjective thing. I think it looks great in this white color, but I also noticed that the GV60 has a more feminine design. Now, that's going to appeal to some people, and it may not appeal to other people. I believe that the Ioniq 5 has the more squared off, kind of more masculine look, which is something that appeals to me more. So styling is always a subjective thing, but I think Genesis has done a great job here with their very first EV. Now, speaking of which, if you guys are looking to purchase this car, they are on sale now. However, if you want to buy one, they are a little bit hard to get a hold of. You're going to have to go to several Genesis dealers. You may have to even order the car, and they start at just under $60,000, about 59 grand for the advanced model. It's basically standard with all of the tech in it that you could want, and all-wheel drive is also standard. This performance version is about $9,000 more at around $69,500 with the metallic paint color. With destination charge, right around 70 grand is a pretty enticing deal. I mean, I just drove something like the new Cadillac Lyriq, which is about $66,000 with all-wheel drive. The GV60 is obviously smaller. It goes less miles on a full charge, but I'd also argue that it has very impressive tech, and it also charges quicker than the Cadillac. So in terms of a luxury EV as their first entry, it certainly excels at both. And for those of you who are okay with the slightly lower range versus some competitors, you may want to put this at the very top of your list. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2023 Genesis GV60 Performance. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.